Good afternoon and welcome to this wonderful, wonderful building. This is a great event. I come down from Manchester today. I live in Manchester, the capital of the Northern Powerhouse. Until last week, bulging with Conservatives, which was quite strange. For many of us, we're still cleaning the streets, so to speak, just to recover from the experience of seeing a real-life Conservative in Manchester. Obviously, the home to the finest football team in the country, Manchester City. The only team to come from Manchester itself. I'd like to welcome you to this event. My background is researching in youth citizenship. As a young man, I didn't have any citizenship education at school. My parents didn't talk about politics. And indeed, my friends didn't either. And if I spoke to the 15, 16-year-old me and said that 30 years later I was stood up in Amnesty International's wonderful resource here in London talking to a group of people about politics, I would have laughed. And in a way, the fact that you're here today shows you're different than my generation. There is something going on in politics at the moment, and the themes of today's session highlight that. The fact that we're talking about pressure groups, anti-politics, about representation. In some ways, we're not talking about the old politics, we're talking about the new politics. And that's quite odd in a way, because it also means that we then think about, well, what about Magna Carta? Where does this fit in? 800 years ago? 800th anniversary? If you talk about the 800th anniversary, the standard narrative is what does Magna Carta mean to us in the modern age? Well, it's about protection of church rights to a certain extent. It's about protection, particularly of the barons' rights from illegal imprisonment. So the whole principle of habeas corpus, the idea that you can't be imprisoned without due process, is seen to emanate from this. And also, Celtic breeze, it's about money. And if you actually look at that picture, what you actually see to a certain extent is some very rich white men talking to each other. Roll forward 800 years, might not be that different in some senses. Are we still, are we fixed now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go. Myth and reality. You can swap these around. What does Magna Carta mean? Myth or reality? Well, for some, they would argue the reality is it's key to English, because it is about England first and British political life. There is a lineage, it defines our contemporary politics in some ways. It gives us that origins and constraints on the monarchy. And so for many people, they say that if you're looking at this sense of British political tradition, it comes directly from Magna Carta. And then it also gives us that first codification of the rule of law. So we start to see this idea that we have rights and responsibilities. And then in some ways, our politicians would like to tie 21st century British values to those of the 13th century. There is a counterpoint that would say that it's a myth that Magna Carta has got a very good PR agent, but not much more. Because it is about elite to elite consensus. It's about the monarchy and the barons coming to a new accord. It's not about the people. It's not about bringing citizens in. It's about a very small number of people making agreement. And in fact, actually, the remarkable thing about Magna Carta was it was almost immediately ignored by all those that signed it up. So it was a very nice document, but it didn't have any real practical application. Indeed, the monarchy, for many people, the fact that it still exists, is a sign that Magna Carta, in many ways, didn't change that relationship between the state and the people. And that we don't have a written constitution. It was a written document, and yet in the 21st century, our politicians are proud of the fact that we don't have a written constitution, that it remains uncodified. It was one of the few examples, until very recently, of writing down the rights and responsibilities. It's also problematic, because it's about England and not about the United Kingdom. So does it relate to the whole of the UK? Well, I can assure you if you go to Glasgow or to Edinburgh or part of Scotland, you will contend it's got nothing to do with Scottish life. And in many ways that's the problem. It lacks relevance in the 21st century. But if it does lack relevance, oh, there we go. It has been seen as an inspiration to others. Some people cite it as the core to the English Civil War. 17th century, and also the American War of Independence. So it keeps getting referred to, even though it might be a flawed document. We keep going back to Magna Carta, but it has power, it has capacity, it has an ability to shape our contemporary politics. Gordon Brown, in 2007, talking about Britishness, trying to draw a historical lineage. A Scottish Prime Minister goes back to Magna Carta. He says there's a golden thread of constitutional history which goes from Magna Carta. So in trying to understand 21st century multicultural Britain, one which is potentially splitting at the seams of Scotland leaving, he still goes back to Magna Carta and says this is where arbitrary power is challenged. Even more than that, our dear beloved Prime Minister, other opinions are available, David Cameron argues that Magna Carta is still alive, it's still part of us. Talking on the anniversary, said it's about liberty, justice, democracy, rule of law, these things we hold dear. And Cameron went on to say that we need to fight for these, to fight for the values of Magna Carta. The problem with that is if you look at the history, it becomes a little bit more fragmented. What is Magna Carta about in the 21st century? Well, the reality is it's about citizenship. It's about the relationship between you as individuals and you as groups and communities of people and the state. Fundamentally, and particularly for you as a group of people, how many of you in this room are under the age of 18? So the vast majority of you can't vote. It's about your rights and your responsibility. And these things are fundamental to how we understand our own sense of citizenship. So actually Magna Carta is a very useful tool to get us to think about youth citizenship, about being a young person in the 21st century, about how the political system represents you or doesn't represent you, about what issues concern you, how you can change the world. And being in this building, being in the Amnesty International building, is probably one of the best places you could be to think about these questions. An organisation dedicated to human rights. And I think this is what the critical point of today is about. It's about you. It's about your ideas and your visions. I'm a middle-aged duffer. I'm no use. My time is gone. It is about what you think. And in many ways it raises a number of critical questions. What kind of politics do we want? When I was your age, at the age of 16, mobile phones, the internet, none of these things existed. We have a new politics now. A politics which is about social media, about online engagement. We see groups like UK Young Cut, a group of young people use the internet to build momentum to challenge corporate tax avoidance. They have changed the tone of politics in this country in the space of 6 years. That is the capacity to change. We have groups like 38 Degrees, campaigning online, building awareness about issues such as the National Health Service, about gender rights, about immigration, about the key debates framing our politics. And it's for you to decide about what is the future of that kind of new politics. It's about your political rights. Is it simply about lowering the voting age to 16? Quick question. How many of you, if you could, would lower the voting age to 16? Hands up. If you could, hands right up. Let's get a good sign of it. So it's probably about 40%. It's a divisive issue. Is lowering the voting age alone the panacea to youth political disengagement? Or do we need to develop a more inclusive, more youth-centric kind of politics? Most politicians are happy with the idea of votes at 16, but it's highly unlikely that even 16-year-olds have voted in 2010 or 2015, and the educational maintenance allowance would have been scrapped, or indeed university fees would have not gone up to £9,000 a year. So voting alone may not change the world you live in. And it's about your rights, because as a generation, you're probably the first generation that is going to see their field of rights and responsibilities change in a profound way compared to previous one. And it's for you to argue that, not for me. What about the voiceless? 6 months ago, I became a vegetarian. After 47 years of eating meat, it took me 47 years to have that fundamental conversation with myself about the voiceless, about animal rights. That doesn't necessarily fit for all of us, but it is a key fundamental question about our planet, about how we relate to our planet. With that is the environment, climate change. And how do we think about those environmental rights of the planet compared to your economic rights, about wanting to have a good job, to growing up in a successful, aspirational society? Can we fit all these things into a 21st century form of citizenship? Or are there tensions which mean there's no simple answer? What about power to the people? As someone who is a northern monkey, I am a real-life human. I'm worried about the Northern Powerhouse. It sounds great. Wow, we're going to make everything better. Better's good. Better's the new bad. But where are the people? Because this is just a deal between Westminster and local authority elites. When we had a referendum in 2012, the City of Manchester said no to an elected mayor, and yet we're still going to get one. And that kind of constitutional debate affects people in London, in Leeds, in Glasgow, Dublin. Dublin doesn't affect them. Dublin, in Belfast, in Cardiff. These are huge, changing times, and you are in the middle of it. You need to engage. And even the role of the monarchy goes back to Magna Carta's point of it, constraints of the power of the monarchy. Well, for many people, the monarchy remains a symbol of Britishness, core to their identity. The Olympics was a critical example of that. Daniel Craig, the idea that the Queen show a limited sense of humour, but it is an important part of many people's identity. And yet for other people, well, the monarchy is something which is from the 13th century, not the 21st. These are big questions, and today we're going to be talking about those in your workshops. The critical point is it is about you. Make sure that your ideas come to the fore. Make sure that you are forceful but respectful in how you discuss these